Hello, this is CJ Hoyle, and welcome to the 6th episode in my Eastern Ontario bike tour series. Today is day number 6 of my 9-day trip, and I'll be riding from Fitzroy Provincial Park to the city of Pembroke. I'll begin the day by taking the Queol ferry across the Ottawa River and spend the morning riding in the province of Quebec. At Portage de Fort, I'll cross back onto the Ontario side and continue riding in the northwest direction. The city of Pembroke has a municipal campground at Riverside Park, which is where I'll be camping tonight. So today is Thursday, September 5th, 2019, and I woke up at my campsite at Fitzroy Provincial Park at around 7:45 a.m. Seated at my picnic bench, I enjoyed some orange juice and a tasty bowl of campsite overnight oats. By 9 a.m. I had all my belongings neatly loaded onto my bike, and I'm ready for another fun day of riding. The temperature dropped down to 8 degrees Celsius last night, and I started with my jacket since it's fairly chilly this morning. After 3 nights in a row of rain on the outside of the tent while I slept, it was nice that it stayed dry last night. After exiting the park, I'm following some quiet roads as I make my way towards the ferry. So far this morning there doesn't seem to be any wind, which is a welcome change after spending the entire day yesterday battling a strong headwind. So up ahead I'm approaching the dock for the Queol ferry, and there's only one other vehicle waiting for it so far. The community in the distance across the Ottawa River is Queol, Quebec, which is where the ferry will take me to. With practically no wind this morning and a blue sky, the surface of the water looks like glass, and it couldn't be any more beautiful. I waited patiently and watched as the ferry left the Quebec side of the river and started heading towards me. Ferry service has existed at this point on the river for more than 130 years. The boats that were used here for the first 30 years were pulled by horses, but by 1916 they switched to gasoline. Beginning in 1957 they switched to a diesel-powered ferry, but the current ferry they're using today is actually electric battery-powered. Unlike most of the other ferries I've ridden on this summer, this one is privately owned and operated, and it's run as a local family business. So after the other vehicles had loaded, I rode my bike on and paid the $3 fare which they charge for bikes and pedestrians. This style of ferry is called a cable ferry. So this boat that they're currently using for this ferry route is called the Grant Beatty, and it entered operation in 2014. With a total capacity of 21 cars, it's the largest ferry on the Ottawa River. The boat was fabricated locally in Shawville, Quebec, and transported here by truck in 4 sections, which are then welded together on the beach. The ferry propels itself across the river by pulling on a 1.5-inch steel cable. It travels at a speed of 9 kilometers per hour, and the total distance is about 700 meters across. I'm still completely blown away by the natural beauty of the river this morning. As I exited the boat, I've now entered the province of Quebec, and this church is Queo's St. Mary's Parish. Quebec is Canada's French-speaking province, but Queol was first settled by United Empire Loyalists in 1783, and I believe many people here speak English as their first language. As I began my ride through the countryside, I've now entered Quebec's Pontiac Regional County Municipality. The main road over on this side of the river is Highway 148, but in advance of this trip I selected a nice set of quiet, peaceful roads like this one, which will take me towards my destination with hopefully minimal traffic. The temperature is now increased to 17 degrees Celsius, which is quite comfortable for riding in the sunshine, but a bit chilly when riding through these shady spots. Over on the edge of this field I can see a cluster of beehives. Not only are the bees capable of making honey, but they also help to pollinate the crops growing in the neighboring fields. The buildings I'm riding past over on the right belong to the local municipality, which is called Bristol. Many of the communities in this area of Quebec have very English-sounding names, including this next one called Elmside. In fact, nearly 80% of the population of Bristol municipality speaks English as their first language. The next community I'm approaching is called Norway Bay. I noticed this Trans-Quebec snowmobile trail, which is built on the old Canadian Northern Railway line. Norway Bay is a popular cottaging destination, and this road kind of reminds me of Tiny Beach's road on Georgian Bay. The time is now about 11 o'clock, and I've traveled 30 kilometers so far this morning. As I'm riding, I've been enjoying listening to an oldies radio station, which is broadcasting from the town of Arnprior, across on the other side of the river. Since the beginning of this trip, I've been observing a lot of monarch butterflies along the way. This is the time of the year when these butterflies begin their annual migration down to Mexico for the winter. I'm now riding in the next municipality, which is called Clarendon. Similar to Bristol, 85% of the population of Clarendon speak English as their first language. After spending day 3 and 4 of this trip riding through a francophone area of Ontario, it's interesting to also get to see an anglophone area of Quebec. I'm now approaching the village of Portage de Fort. This village was first settled in 1844 and was named after the portaging route here, which was used by the indigenous people for thousands of years. Most of the road signs in the province of Quebec are written in French, even in this predominantly English-speaking area. I keep noticing these unusual red signs which say Arrête on them, and I haven't been able to figure out what they mean. At Portage de Fort there's a road across the Ottawa River which goes over top of some dams that are built here. These dams were built as part of the Chenot Generating Station project, which was completed in 1950. Chenot was the French word for channels, and the river historically took 3 separate channels here, flowing on either side of 2 small islands. I'm now riding across the second island, Petit Isle Limerick, and admiring these majestic rock faces. The third of the 3 channels is where the generating station itself was built, which has a nameplate capacity of 144 megawatts. After crossing the Ottawa River, I'm now back in the province of Ontario, and I switched from the main road to this quiet gravel one. I typically prefer to avoid riding on gravel, but based on research I did prior to this trip, I knew that I'd soon be on pavement again. The sign here is for a boat launch on the Ottawa River, as this segment of the river is famous for its whitewater rapids, where people like to go rafting and kayaking. Named after those rapids, I'm currently riding in the township of Whitewater region. In the community of Forester Falls, I made a quick stop at a convenience store to buy some orange juice for tomorrow and a few snacks. My water supply today seems to be running a bit low, and I wanted to make sure I had something extra I could drink in case I ran out. I bought the snack food since I didn't think I'd see any restaurants until I got to Pembroke, but as it turns out the community of Beechburg, which I'm passing through now, does have restaurants where I could have stopped if I had known. This afternoon I've been listening to a radio station I found called Heritage Valley. In addition to providing the weather and the news, this interesting local station also reports on the current sale prices of local crops. One of the crops mentioned is soybeans, which is Ontario's largest field crop, being grown on more than 2 million acres across the province. These soybeans appear to be fully grown now, but they won't be harvested for about another month after the crop has turned a golden yellow color. The crop growing in this field here is something different though, and I haven't been able to identify it. As I'm getting closer to Pembroke, the options of quiet paved roads becomes a lot more limited, so I'm now riding on this relatively busy road. The time is now just after 2:30, and I've ridden my bike 88 kilometers so far today. I've now entered the township of Laurentian Valley. I'm not sure what time the office for the campground that I'm riding to is open until, but I'm hoping to get there as early as possible just in case. So I'm now entering the city limits of Pembroke, which has a current population of about 14,000. The first settlements began here in the 1820s, and the major industries are farming and forestry. The community was first established here at the mouth of the Muskrat River. As I rode through Pembroke, I joined their waterfront trail, which will lead me towards Riverside Park. Along the way there's a nice lookout, and I can see the calm waters of the Ottawa River. Out in the middle there's a big group of kayakers who appear to be enjoying the sunshine today just as much as I am. So I've now reached Riverside Park, which has a sandy beach on the river. This city park has baseball diamonds and athletic fields, but it also has the municipal campground where I'll be staying tonight. So I arrived at around 3:30, but learned that the park office isn't open until 4. While I waited for it to open, I decided to go for a quick swim at the beach. As it turned out, I found it very difficult to swim here because the water stays shallow even when you walk out from shore very far. While I was walking though, I noticed a lot of these freshwater mussels, which are making trails along the bottom of the river. The other impressions in the sand I believe are from the feet of gulls, which were also standing in the water. I'm not sure what species these are, but they all seem to be quite small. So after I got dried off, I returned to the park office and purchased my camping permit. They assigned me to this campsite, which is over next to one of the baseball fields. While I was setting up my campsite, I had the privilege of meeting some of my neighbors, most notably a couple who arrived here today by canoe. Traveling in their H2O Prospector canoe, Carol and Glenn of Kingston, Ontario have spent the last 3 summers paddling all the way across Canada. I only got to speak with them briefly, but hearing about their trip was incredibly inspiring and a very memorable part of my visit to Pembroke. What a lucky coincidence that they ended up staying at this campground on the same night that I did. If you'd like to learn more about their trip, I'd recommend visiting their website, which I've linked below, where you can also make a donation to the charity that they're supporting. At around 5 o'clock, I got back on my bike to go and explore more of the city of Pembroke. It's really convenient being able to stay at a campground which is right inside the town, with everything around it being so close. Pembroke has a really nice historic downtown, with a lot going on this Thursday evening, including a few spots with live music. After going and exploring some of the outskirts of this city, I made my way back towards the downtown, where I evaluated some of the different options for dinner. I ended up choosing one of the places which had live music, which is called Janet and Carrie's Over Easy Bar and Grill. The restaurant was quite busy, but I was able to get a table towards the back. From the menu, I ordered a chicken club sandwich with fries, which I really enjoyed. After my meal, I made a quick stop at a grocery store, then returned back to the campsite where I had a shower and got ready to sleep. So including my exploration around Pembroke this evening, I rode my bike a total of 117 kilometers today. Stay tuned for the next episode in my Eastern Ontario bike tour series, where tomorrow on day 7 I'll be riding from here in Pembroke down to the community of Pakenham, which is situated on Ontario's Mississippi River. I hope you enjoyed joining me for day number 6 of my trip. If you watched all the way to the end of this video, I'd love to hear your thoughts, so please leave a comment below, and thanks for watching.